So today is going to be a little bit of a different video. Um, and by the title, I'm guessing that you are expecting some great revelation to come up, and I don't know if I'm going to have that for everybody. What I will have is my own personal opinion about marijuana in the workplace. So before we jump into marijuana and workplace and what that really looks like and how it affects people and their jobs, let's talk about this. I have a bias. And my bias is that marijuana should not be a Schedule 1 drug. And that's based off of credible peer-reviewed research that has been put out over the last 10 years. It's something that I believe in quite strongly. I believe that it could be used as a medicine to help people who have cancer, who have either lost their appetite or are in so much pain that they need to have an escapism or even just forget the fact that they do have pain. Because marijuana doesn't necessarily take away your pain, it distracts you. I'm also okay with it being legalized for recreation, sort of for the same reason, and because it's probably much like alcohol in that way. It's not something that's a long-term effect as far as the euphoria and the things that happen because of it, and it is something that is at least no more dangerous than alcohol as far as we can tell. Maybe even less so, because there are no deaths related to ingestion of the drug. So we've gotten over those two hurdles. This is my own opinion and my bias. I'm also going to say, as the third thing here, you shouldn't be using marijuana or THC in the workplace. I know you're having an advocate saying, yeah, we should definitely legalize it. We should definitely put it as medicinal usage and don't use it in the workplace. I think this is very important because I don't think you should drink in the workplace either. It's an imperfect equivalent, alcohol and marijuana, but it's still a mind-altering substance. And before you get your jackassery out and say, something about caffeine, all of these are issues. Caffeine, alcohol, and marijuana, because you're dealing with something that's helping you cope with the stress. Have a drink after work, say, hey, we've been all stressed out. Let's go to the bar. I've said it. I've heard other people say it on my teams before. And I know what you're talking about. I know why people do these things. So let's go into the business a little bit more and where you really find the impact of marijuana in the business or THC use in business. And the first thing you're going to run into probably is when people come on board to a new organization. Not everyone gets drug screened, but there are a number of businesses out there that do drug screen, and they screen for, of course, opioids and other things. THC being the active ingredient that you're looking for, your euphoria and other things that happen with marijuana, that will cover your smoking and your edibles. As of today, most businesses, if they do drug screens, and including the THC, they're going to tell you bye-bye. Even if you've got a letter of intent saying this is what we want to offer you, they will not honor it because it's based upon your passing the drug screen. I really don't agree with the drug screen for THC and marijuana in businesses that are located in states where marijuana is a medicine. Where it's been recreationally used is also an issue, but medicine is a little bit more because medicine is a little bit harder for businesses to justify firing somebody or just simply not hiring them. Because if you have the medicine in your system, it's like being prescribed an opioid medication. You want to be careful with it, but you don't want to get high on the job. There are ways around this. There are certain policies that businesses draw up around this. And I think treating THC and marijuana like opioid usage for medication, is a great route to start with. I don't think it's the way that we want to go in the long term, but I think it's a good start. Now, where drug testing is really important is when it comes to accidents. I have a lot of experience in manufacturing, and in manufacturing facilities, you do not want to have anybody on any kind of drug around dangerous machines, driving forklifts, trucks, dealing with heavy machinery that cut things and bend things and heat things. You really don't want anybody high or, perceptually screwing themselves up, because you need them to be focused. So when you drug test after an accident, these factors of who's taking medication, who's doing things recreationally, and if it's not recreational or it's not medicinal in your state, those really become issues. Another problem when we're talking about hiring people is the jail time. If you've been in a situation where it's a nonviolent crime, you have marijuana on your person, you could have been arrested and were, it's very possible you did jail time. In the United States, as of November 2018, we had approximately 2.1 million people incarcerated in this country. Of that number, about 81,000 of those were nonviolent marijuana-related crimes. And when I say that, I mean those people, the 81,000, marijuana possession was their only major crime. I think this is very interesting because in the last couple of days, we've actually seen the state of New York expunge thousands of records. So for those people that got their records expunged in New York State, they're still going to have some blowback because they served jail time. They're going to have issues explaining why they were gone for that period of time, even if it's something that's already passed. If it's something that's currently happening, they have a better chance of explaining what's going on, but they're still going to have to explain that they went to jail. Our recruiters and our businesses are going to have to turn to policies that support seeing people for viable candidates, even if they've had an expunged marijuana record. You can already see just how complex this issue is and how multifaceted. So I'm going to have to recap like this. Yes, I do feel like marijuana should not be a Schedule I drug. You shouldn't use it in the workplace. But like alcohol, I think it's going to be okay to use outside of the workplace as long as you're being safe. Don't be stupid with it. And businesses will have to change their policies and practices now that we've got more states that are on board with medical marijuana and some states that are also on board with recreational use of marijuana. If it ever becomes legalized federally, we'll have a much easier time of dealing with these policies and laws that cover states that are now individually deciding what they want to do with marijuana. All right, guys, that's a really complex issue. Thanks for sticking with me. And if you have any feedback, any questions, comments, whatever, please go ahead and put in the comments below, and we will address them as they come up. And if you like what you saw, if you like some of the other videos, go watch them, like, subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Hey everyone, so sorry I've not gotten videos out in the last couple of weeks. I've had a technical difficulty. I still haven't upgraded my equipment, so it's still kind of hard sometimes to transfer videos over. So eventually that'll get fixed because I will invest a little bit more in my equipment. But as of right now, I've got a couple of videos that will come out. But until that time, I wanted to tack this little piece on about, things in the workplace. And this is because of something that happened again in our news cycle within a month of 2 or 3 other really terrible events. And that's firearms in the workplace. Now, firearms in the workplace do have a place, and that's with military jobs, paramilitary jobs like police forces and sheriff's departments. You also have people that will carry for security jobs and will also carry for personal protection, people who do bodyguard work. Also, of course, people that work in gun shops, right? You're almost kind of expected to get your concealed carry and be able to talk to people about the products in your store. So in the workplace, there is a place for it. The rest of the workplace, people that work in manufacturing, that work in office buildings, you do not need to have a firearm in the workplace. It really does not belong. And here's really why. Carrying a firearm, especially concealed carry, for most people is about personal protection. Some people just like to have it and they like guns and that's why they have it. It's for personal protection because they feel scared. Now, I want to alleviate some of that fear by talking to it a little bit more, because just stating the rational argument that there are fewer gun-related violence issues in the workplace than people think really isn't going to get you there. This is not a head argument. This is a heart argument. What you're feeling is something that's not really there, though you still have it along with you. If you feel like you're carrying it around just for fear, maybe you need to talk to some people about it. And I'm not talking about necessarily go to a psychologist. I mean, talk to your friends. Guns in the workplace, they really shouldn't be there. So we've got two very controversial topics here. You shouldn't have marijuana in the workplace, and you shouldn't have a firearm in the workplace if you're not working for somebody who needs you, requires you to carry a firearm. I'll leave you with this. It's a little story that actually happened. I'm part of Highland Festivals. On the Highland Festival I was a part of, I was with the people who were running the festival, and they talked about a lieutenant governor that was coming in. Now, this particular lieutenant governor had already been through the parade, and the security detail brought up an issue that they were having. The issue was the little knives that you see people carrying in the top of their socks. It may only be like a 3-inch blade, but it's still a knife, and there are people just littered across the place with these knives in their socks. The security detail said, well, we're not going to have the lieutenant governor in a situation where he's surrounded by all these people with knives in their socks. Now, I was talking about that with somebody after the fact. This was within the next 12 hours after we had talked about the situation, and we kind of looked at each other and said, it's kind of weird, because I actually felt more comfortable with the people with the little knife in their sock, the skeen-do is what it's called, with a little knife in their sock, than I felt about knowing that there were people who concealed carried all over the place, whether they actually had a permit or not. I know this might be controversial to some. A lot of you may not agree with me, but there it is. And we all need to make sure that we're staying safe in the workplace. One of those is not putting another dangerous item in the middle of the workplace. So that's my view on it. That's my bias as well. So take it as it is. I'll try to get the next few videos out in the meantime. And hopefully you guys are having some great weeks here at the end of the summer, start of the fall. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.